Welcome to Science Views from the Valley. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Kassan. Science Views from the Valley is a monthly program that will explore interesting science topics and how they relate to the San Luis Valley and the Upper Rio Grande region. Good morning and welcome to my January show. January is, on average, the coldest month in Colorado. So today I would like to discuss animals that live in the coldest region on Earth, Antarctica. Antarctica is in the southern hemisphere, so it experiences summer when we are in winter and vice versa. Summer months can reach a high of negative 18 degrees Fahrenheit, but during the Antarctic winter, the average temperature is negative 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Because gasoline starts to freeze at negative 50 degrees, forming a gel, the U.S. Antarctic program will not fly over Antarctica during the winter. Antarctica is also dry, having an average annual precipitation of only 6.5 inches. Nearly the entire continent is ice-covered. Antarctic's ice contains 90% of the world's ice and more than 70% of the world's fresh water. The coastal areas of Antarctica consist mainly of ice shelves, which are mostly floating ice with a few slow-moving glaciers. Though Antarctica's climate seems extremely hostile to life, the region has a thriving ecosystem. Today I would like to talk about some of the animals that live in Antarctica and how their physiology and behavior help them survive the severe temperatures and lack of moisture. The best known inhabitant of Antarctica is the penguin. Penguins are flightless, carnivorous birds that live in the southern hemisphere. Approximately 20 penguin species exist today. The largest penguin is the emperor penguin, one of two penguin species that is endemic to Antarctica. The emperor penguin stands at a little over 3 feet in height and weighs between 50 to 100 pounds. Emperor penguins eat primarily fish, crustaceans, and squid. This penguin can remain underwater for 20 minutes due to specialized hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the protein that transports oxygen to the cells and gives mammalian and avian blood its red color. The hemoglobin of the emperor penguin captures oxygen easily and is able to release it to the cells more easily in the presence of acids, in this case the buildup of carbon dioxide in the blood. This feature of penguin hemoglobin makes it ideal for animals that hunt and dive in deep ocean water where oxygen is low. Emperor penguins, like all birds and mammals, are endotherms, otherwise known as warm-blooded. The penguins are able to maintain their core body temperature without altering its metabolism. The penguin is able to raise its metabolism by swimming, walking, or shivering, but they can also break down lipids by inducing an enzymatic reaction using glucagon, a hormone found in all vertebrates, including humans. Thick layers of subdermal fat also act as insulation to keep the penguin warm. These mechanisms work very well, to the point where a penguin will overheat at temperatures of 68 degrees Fahrenheit. When this happens, the penguin will attempt to increase its heat loss by raising its wings and exposing the undersides to the cooler air. The emperor penguin is the only penguin species that reproduces during the Antarctic winter, a reproductive cycle that was described in the 2005 French documentary called March of the Penguins. Mature emperor penguins hike over 30 to 75 miles of Antarctic ice to reach their ancestral breeding grounds in March or April, which is the start of the Antarctic winter. The trigger for this migration to the breeding sites appears to be the decrease in day length. Once the penguins reach the breeding site, a male will place its head on its chest, inhale, and give a 1 to 2 second courtship call. This call indicates to the female that the male is of high quality. In this case, that he is very fat and therefore more likely to survive to take care of the chicks. If a female does not respond, the male will move to another spot and repeat the call. Once a female answers the call, she will walk up to the male and stand face to face with him. They hold their head and neck upwards, holding the position for several minutes. They will then walk around the breeding site together and find a site to mate. Before mating, one of the penguins will bow deeply to its mate, its bill almost reaching the icy ground. The mate will respond with a similar deep bow. The female will lay a single egg that weighs approximately 1 pound. The female will then transfer the egg to the male's feet. This transfer must be done very carefully, for the extreme sub-zero temperatures of the Antarctic will cause the egg to die within 1 to 2 minutes if the egg lands on the ground rather than on the penguin's feet. If the penguins botch their egg transfer, something that happens fairly often with first-time parents, then they will walk back to the ocean together to feed and will not make another attempt until the next breeding season. If the penguins successfully transfer the egg, then the male penguin will cover the egg with his brood patch, a fatty layer of skin that lacks feathers. He will cover the egg, keeping the egg at a constant temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The female, who has used her energy reserves to produce the egg, leaves the male to return to the ocean to feed. The male, who has built up large reserves of fat during the summer months, will fast for approximately 4 months as the male protects the egg and chicks from the freezing temperatures of Antarctica. To protect themselves from this brutal environment, the brooding males will carefully huddle together, taking care to not drop the egg on their feet to the ground. The penguins in the huddle will take turns to enter the middle of the huddle where the temperature is warmest. This way they are able to conserve body heat and not deplete their energy stores too quickly. Once the chicks have hatched, the male will feed it a thick white substance known as crop milk, which contains 59% protein and 28% lipids. The chicks will remain on the male's feet, covered by the warm brood patch. The female, who has been feeding for the past 4 months, returns to the breeding site a few days after the chicks hatch. Though thousands of penguins are present at these breeding colonies, she is able to find her mate and offspring by listening to her mate's vocal call. The male will then transfer the chick to the mother, who takes over caring for the chick while the male returns to the sea to feed for 3 to 4 weeks, and then he returns to care for the chick while the female returns to the sea to feed. The parents will continue to take turns every 4 weeks to care for the chicks and feed. The Antarctica environment is harsh, so when a parent fails to return to the breeding grounds or is delayed, the parent caring for the chick will abandon it and return to the ocean. This prevents the adult penguin from dying due to depleted fat reserves. Abandoned chicks will never survive, as a single parent lacks the resources to care for the chick without starving itself. About a month after the chicks have hatched, both parents will leave the colony to feed. During this time, the chicks will huddle together for warmth and safety. Once the chicks have molted their soft down into juvenile plumage, the adults will stop feeding them, and all penguins, adult and offspring, will leave the breeding colony to return to the ocean to hunt and feed. While feeding, emperor penguins must be alert to the presence of leopard seals and killer whales, otherwise known as orcas. The leopard seal is the second largest seal in the Antarctic, reaching lengths of nearly 12 feet and weighing anywhere from 440 to 1,320 pounds. Despite the extreme temperatures of their habitat, which one would think would encourage social relationships to stay warm, leopard seals are solitary except for the mother and her newborn pups. Leopard seals are very territorial and make trilling vocalizations like these to warn off other leopard seals. Leopard seals also make unique vocalizations in the summer to indicate their elevated reproductive hormones, telling each other that they are ready to mate. Leopard seals are polygynous, meaning the male will mate with several females during the breeding season. The gestation period of the leopard seal is approximately 9 months. The female digs a nest in the ice to prepare for birth. Female leopard seals give birth to a single pup, which weighs approximately 60 to 70 pounds. Only the female will care for her pup for 4 weeks. The male returns to his solitary lifestyle after mating. Leopard seals are voracious carnivores, feeding on penguins, krill, which is a type of large crustacean, and small seals. They lack teeth capable of slicing their prey into smaller pieces, so they feed by flailing the animal around, tearing off chunks with their long canine teeth. Their molars lock together to form a sieve, which they use to strain krill from the surrounding seawater. Their aggression is infamous. In 1985, a Canadian explorer encountered a leopard seal that tried to drag him off the ice and into the sea. He was saved by his companions that repeatedly kicked the animal with their spiked crampons until the seal let go. In 2003, a biologist was killed by a leopard seal while snorkeling in Antarctica. Leopard seals are also known for attacking the black inflatable boats used by researchers in Antarctica. Leopard seals are able to withstand the freezing temperatures of Antarctica and the surrounding ocean by using a thick layer of blubber and their water-repellent fur. Leopard seals must feed regularly to maintain their blubber layer, a possible reason for their voracious appetites. The fur layer must also be maintained, since damage to the skin of the leopard seal results in considerable heat loss, which can be fatal. For this reason, leopard seals will shed their outer skin during the warmer summer months, allowing time for them to grow fur on their new skin before the winter sets in. Given their large size and aggressive nature, leopard seals only have 2 known predators, the killer whale and sharks. Unlike the emperor penguin and the leopard seal, killer whales are found worldwide. They exist in every sea except the Baltic and the Black Seas. The scientific name of killer whales is Orcinus orca. Orcinus means kingdom of the dead, or belong to Orcus, referring to a Roman god of the underworld along with Hades and Pluto. The name orca also dates back to Roman times, possibly borrowed from the Greek word for whale. But killer whales are actually dolphins, not whales, and they are the largest member of the dolphin family. Like dolphins, killer whales are highly social and travel in pods. They hunt in packs, much like wolves and other social predators. As many as 50 orcas will hunt together to kill very large prey, including sperm and blue whales. Killer whales are also known to temporarily beach themselves to grab seals on the shore, wiggling backwards while dragging the prey back to the sea. This hunting behavior is not instinctual, since beaching is often fatal to whales and dolphins. But killer whales are known to practice this technique while they are juveniles. Killer whales also spy hop, a technique that involves the whale holding a vertical position partially out of the water. They can hold themselves vertically for several minutes using buoyancy control and positioning their pectoral fins. Spy hopping is used by the orcas to search ice floes for seals and other prey. Killer whales are mammals, thus they are endotherms. They maintain a core body temperature of 97.5 degrees Fahrenheit, similar to that of a human's body temperature. One way a killer whale maintains its body temperature is simply through its large size. The larger the animal, the smaller the surface area relative to the volume of the animal. The large body core produces heat through the animal's metabolism, while the surface area releases heat. Thus, the larger volume and smaller surface area of the killer whale reduces its heat loss. The spindle shape of the orca's body and decreased limb size also decreases the surface area and heat loss. A killer whale's circulatory system are also adapted to conserve heat. Their arteries, which carry the warm blood from the body core, is wrapped by the veins. Some of the heat from the arteries is transferred to the veins. This type of physiology is called countercurrent heat exchange and is seen in many other animals, including waterfowl legs, which is why ducks, geese, and other waterfowl are able to swim in freezing water. A thick layer of blubber, which can be as much as 6 inches, also helps to keep the killer whale's body core warm. The migratory behavior of the killer whale is another way that it can survive colder temperatures. Because they are marine animals, they are able to swim to warmer waters in the winter months. This migration is actually crucial to the whale's survival in the Antarctica. Orcas and other whales must shed their old skin along with the diatoms, bacteria, and parasites that collect on it. But in the frigid Antarctic waters, orcas shunt blood away from their skin, which prevents the normal cycle of skin regeneration. To facilitate skin shedding, killer whales travel to warmer waters and return to Antarctica when the skin regeneration process is complete. Killer whales have one of the most complex and stable social structure, rivaling the societies of elephants and higher primates. The killer whale pods consist of the matriarch, her sons and daughters, and the offspring of her daughters. Since a female killer whale can live nearly 100 years, her pod can contain as many as 4 generations. This matrilineal social structure is rare among mammals, and no other mammal remains with its mother for their entire lives. Members of a pod only separate for a few hours at a time, and with one exception, no permanent separation has ever been observed. Though the males remain in their mother's pod, they always mate with females from another pod. This phenomena is seen in other animals and is believed to be a way to avoid inbreeding. Another interesting behavior in the killer whales is the development of pair bonds, very similar to human friendships. Drone footage of killer whale interactions indicate that individual orcas interact with other orcas of the same sex and age group, especially when they are younger. These friendly interactions include back-to-back and nose-to-nose rubs, flipper slaps, and play leaping out of the water in synchrony. Female individuals are also known to playfully toss another female's calf in the air and letting them splash back into the water next to them. Even male orcas form these interactive pair bonds with another male. Not only are killer whales extremely tactile in their communications, they also have many different underwater vocalizations. These killer whale vocalizations are categorized into 3 types: clicks, whistles, and pulses. The click vocalizations are believed to be used for navigation, though they are often heard during social interactions as well. Whistles and calls are used to communicate with other individuals, both within the pod and between pods. Pulse calls are the most common type and are used to identify each other within the pod and to coordinate different behaviors like hunting. Killer whales also use these vocalizations for echolocation, which allows them to find other individuals, their offspring, or prey. Killer whale vocalizations are learned behavior. Newborn calves learn how to make the pod's calls by listening to the other members of their pod. The adult members of the pod have been observed increasing the frequency of their different vocalizations when there are newborns present, which is believed to help the newborn calf learn their pod's unique calls. Their vocalizations are so complex that each pod has its own dialect. These dialects are unique enough that marine biologists can determine which orca pod they are observing simply by listening to their vocalizations. Killer whales are also known to be intelligent. They imitate each other and have been observed teaching different skills to their offspring. Some mothers have been observed pushing their calves on beaches and then waiting to pull the calf back into the water if the calf cannot do so themselves. Fishermen have observed killer whales learning how to steal fish from their long lines and overcome the different techniques fishermen use to try to stop them from stealing the fish. One group of fishermen tried to retrieve small amounts of their catch after placing their boats several miles apart, thinking that it would not give the orcas enough time to go between boats. But the orcas split into different groups and stole the fish from the different boats at the same time. Killer whales are also known to follow ice-breaking ships as they cut through the ice, which enables the whales to reach prey that was previously out of reach. These 3 examples of Antarctic animals, which represent a food chain, are just a few of the different animals that make Antarctica their home. We continue to find more species on this frozen continent as we discover new subglacial lakes that maintain a rich diversity of microbes, diatoms, crustaceans, and other invertebrates. I hope you enjoyed my talk on Antarctic animals. My next show will be on February 24th and will cover animals that mate for life. If you would like to hear a particular topic, contact me at spiderwomankrza@gmail.com. If you would like to hear one of my previous shows, they are archived on YouTube on the channel Science Views from the Valley, Alamosa, CO. I would like to thank the KRZA staff for their help in broadcasting this show, and to all of my Science Views from the Valley listeners. Have a good day.